Grade 10 Geography, under the topic of geomorphology, we're now being introduced to a new concept or a phenomenon called earthquakes. What are earthquakes? You find that most of the time, these things, they happen in reality. I'm sure some of you did experience this thing once in your lifetime, whereby you find that the room or the house is busy shaking and you don't know what exactly is happening. So those things are called earthquakes, or rather the concept of earthquake. So an earthquake, as a geography learner, you're going to say that an earthquake are those vibrations that are going to take place or that are going to occur inside the earth's crust, deep in the earth crust, causing damage on the what? On the surface. So earthquakes are very, very, very dangerous phenomenons that if you watch videos, especially on YouTube, on countries whereby they did experience, you will see how deadly are these things, because they will destroy infrastructure, they will destroy a lot of things. But now, as a geography learner, you have to do what? You have to now go deeper and understand this phenomenon of an earthquake in a geographical manner. So here I drew the what? I drew the section of the crust. If you still remember at the beginning of when we started geomorphology, you were taught about the what? You were taught about the internal structure of the what? Of the earth. And this globe, if we were to open it, you would realize that the earth has what? Has four parts, starting with the what? Starting with the inner core at the center, followed by the outer core, followed by the mantle, and then the crust. The crust being the outer layer, this layer at the top, being this one that forms the continents where me and you are living. So the crust, that is the one that is of interest when we're talking about the issue of earthquakes. So this is a what? This is somehow, let's say, an internal cross profile of a crust. We're just sketching. You know, geography is all about sketching. So when we're looking at this, we might label this thing as a way of understanding what exactly are earthquakes, or how exactly do they happen, and the most important elements that are involved in the concept or this phenomenon of earthquakes. When you're looking at this cross profile, you can see here that there's a line. So meaning this whole thing here, it is what? It is that outer part or the outer layer of the earth, which is the crust. This is the crust. This is our crust. This is the crust. So when we're looking at this crust, there is this dot here at the center where there is this line. So this line will represent the faults, or the fault line. It's going to represent a fault. If you still remember when you learned about the faults, how faults work, whereby you find that there are two plates where they meet, and you know that the plates are moving, right? And normally it's either they are converging or it's either they are diverging. So it's either they're doing what? It's either they're being constructive or it's either they're being destructive. So when you're looking at this fault line here, they are saying that since when faults move, when they move, that's when they would cause these vibrations. Let's say there's a fault and a fault, they are busy doing what? It's either they are diverging, or it's either doing what? They are coming together, or it's either they are sliding. There will be some sort of action that will take place. And in most cases, when those things take place, when those fault movements take place, that's when those vibrations will be emitted. And those vibrations are going to do what? They're going to take place. They're going to do what? They're going to be transmitted through the crust of the earth, so that even something that is at the top, meaning us who are on the surface, will feel those vibrations. Those vibrations will be what? Will be moving from the center where that particular divergence or convergence or sliding of the faults took place. And those waves will do what? Will spread along the entire crust, and then the area of interest, the area where that fault movement will be taken, or that fault action will be taking place, they will feel those vibrations. So when you are labeling these things, we started by saying that this line, it will represent our fault line, right? And this section here at the center, because this is where the actual vibration, or this is where the actual action took place. This is where the action of the faults took place. You're going to refer to this as the what? As the focus. As the focus. What is the focus? The focus, it is the point where there is that intense vibration during that process of, or rather during the phenomenon of an earthquake. Those vibrations, this is where they are mostly intense, because of now, this is at the fault line, whereby that action either of diverging or either of converging or of sliding was taking place. Therefore, this is going to be called the what? This is going to be called the focus, the intense point of the what? Of the earthquake. And then now, when you are moving here, you can see another dot. This dot now, it is at the what? It is now on the surface, meaning the people, let's say, who are around this area here, who are occupying this region, that is direct towards the what? That is direct towards the focus. That is, it's like it's at the same place with the focus, but the focus, remember, it's where it's underground. That's where the actual action was taking place. And then the people who are above that region, that area above the focus, they will experience also intense vibrations because of it is exactly aligned with the focus, which, or rather where the focus, we know that the focus, it is the most intense because that is at the fault line. And now the people who are around the area above the epicenter, meaning the ones who are now on the surface, me and you, who will be around this area here, it is going to be now referred to as the what? As the epicenter. Epicenter. What is the epicenter? The epicenter now, it is the intensive, it is where there is that intense vibration, the intense point of the earthquake or of the vibrations above the what? Above the surface, not deep in the surface. Deep in the surface is the what? It's the focus. And then above the surface, meaning here now, on the continent, on top of the continent, that is the what? That is the epicenter. So these are some of the most important elements that you should know or rather understand in terms of understanding the concept of earthquake. The focus, which is what? Which is the intense point of the earthquake deep inside the earth crust. And then the epicenter is the what? It is the intense point that is aligned with the epicenter above the what? Above the crust or on the surface. And then now the fault line. The fault line, that's where those different faults will be meeting. That's where the action will be taking place, and it will give us the focus. So those things are very important when you're busy learning about such. And then now, remember, those things are what? Are vibrations. Those vibrations of an earthquake, let's say, imagine this thing is something that is exploding. That's one of the analogies that you can use about earthquakes. Imagine as if something, it is exploding. When something explodes, boom, it throws whatever force outside. Those waves, they go outside, they don't go inside. So even the earthquake, when it takes place, boom, those vibrations, they do what? They start to go away. They move away from the center, our focus. When they move away from the center, they go where they go around, they spread. But the most intensive point where those waves or those vibrations will still be felt, even though it's far from the focus, it will be where? It will be at the point that is above the focus. And that point will be referred to as the epicenter. So these waves, they can be referred to as the what? They can be, or they are referred to as the what? As the seismic waves. They are seismic waves. Those are those waves that will be emitted when that action along the fault line takes place. Then those waves will be emitted and then they spread up until they reach the epicenter. So many people who are occupying the epicenter, let's say there's a city here that is occupying the epicenter. Those people who are there, they are the ones who will receive the most destructive action of that particular earthquake. And then another concept that you must also know is the concept of a tremor. What is a tremor? A tremor, it is also under the what? Under the concept of earthquake. So a tremor, it's like a slight vibration. It's a slight vibration whereby we can feel those vibrations, but those vibrations, they don't tend to do what? To cause very destructive damage. Most of the time in South Africa, we experience tremors because of, as much as we do sometimes in South Africa here, those are earthquakes. They are just tremors because of, they don't end up causing destructive actions on the surface. But when you go to people who are located at the Ring of Fire, if you still remember the part of the Ring of Fire, that's where there is too much action of those tectonic plates. Therefore, those people there, they tend to experience very, very intense earthquakes, which are very destructive, which are very deadly. So can you now see the difference? And one of the reasons why South Africa, we most of the time don't experience very deadliest earthquakes, it's because of, they are saying that South Africa is located on a very, very, very strong rock called craton. So the craton, apparently it's very strong, and then there is a less tectonic shift of those plates, and therefore we don't end up experiencing a lot of very deadly or rather destructive earthquakes. And one of now the important things that you must also now know is the causes of what? The causes of earthquakes. What are the causes of earthquakes? Already faulting is one of them, because of when there is that fault action, we tend to result with such vibrations which are either deadly or not deadly, depending on the kind of action that will be taking place on those faults. And another thing that is also rather that can cause earthquake, it is volcanic activity. You see, the volcano, when we're also going to be learning about volcanoes after this topic. So when those volcanic actions are busy taking place, we realize that there will also be some sort of actions that are very that are causing intensive vibrations within the earth crust, resulting into this phenomenon called earthquakes. And another thing also, it's what is this? The mines. You see, inside the mines, most of the time in the mines they would use bombs. They would use to break those rocks that they're busy mining for whatever mineral they are busy mining for. And that thing also, researchers have realized that most of the time when they are busy bombing under the ground, it tends to do what? It tends to affect the crust up until the crust now shakes. We might find that it was a certain fault that was already about to do what? About to shift. And now the bomb is now assisting. It's now causing that intensive vibration, and now the fault now breaks, and then now it's just causing that shift, and then the crust starts to vibrate, resulting in earthquakes. So you're going to check some of the causes of earthquakes for yourself. And one of the things that are very important is also knowing what are the things that can be used to measure the impact or under the earthquake, such as the Richter scale. So we're going to do what we're going to talk about